Action.
Hello everyone, we're the Pack 88 Bears. We would like to introduce our next speaker from the Long Beach Baha'i congregation.
Jackson is 21 years old and is a college student and musician.
He was born into the Baha'i faith.
Confirmed his membership in the faith when he was 15.
Along with his sister, he leads a junior youth group that empowers young people to embrace core values and community involvement.
And we hope you have a great hike today.
Hello everyone, my name is Jax McCants and I'm a Baha'i from Long Beach, California. And today I'm going to be talking about the commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. And actually last year I did a talk in person on this same topic, and so it's great to be able to discuss it again, but this time sadly not in person, over a camera. So the Baha'i perspective of this commandment, I can repeat it again. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. I think first it would be helpful to define the word covet, because that's kind of at the center of the sentence. So the word covet, after looking it up, it means to yearn to possess. And so when you yearn to possess something, it means that you really want something. And so in this context where it says covet your neighbor's goods, you really want the things that you don't have, that maybe your neighbor, I think neighbor can be used as a synonym for the word friend, or it can be a family member, you know, just somebody that is not yourself, that has something that you really want. And so the Baha'i perspective on this quote, Baha'is, when we look for guidance, we go to the Baha'i writings, which are the writings by the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, whose name is Baha'u'llah. And so in Baha'u'llah's writings, I actually found a quote that I feel really suits this subject very well, and I think answers the question of what that means to Baha'is. So I'll read it here. If thine eyes be turned towards mercy, forsake the things that profit thee, and cleave unto that which will profit mankind. And if thine eyes be turned towards justice, choose thou for thy neighbor that which thou choosest for thyself. And again, that was written by Baha'u'llah, who is the founder of the Baha'i faith. So there's a lot of big words in this quote, and I think it would be best summarized in a very simple way. And so one of the essential points of the Baha'i faith, which I think is reflected in this quote, is the idea of forgetting yourself. And what I don't mean forget yourself as in just like forget you're even here. That's not what I get from this quote, and that's what I've learned from the writings and from interacting with other Baha'is. What it means to forget yourself is to forget the things that keep you attached to this world. And that can be many things. It can be material things. It can be even spiritual things that can keep you attached to yourself and your ego. And so what Baha'u'llah exhorts us or tells us to do is to forget those things that keep us attached to our own selves, and to become detached or attached entirely to God. And so when you covet your neighbor's goods, it's a violation of that law from God. For this next part of the video, I want to talk about the Baha'i faith and what the Baha'i faith is. And to begin, I just want to talk about the relation of the Baha'i faith to other religions and other world religions. So throughout history, there have been these prophets. They're referred to in the Baha'i faith as manifestations of God, which is basically that God has given these individuals throughout history a message. And this message has been his religion, God's religion, which has throughout history aided mankind in progressing and developing civilization. And so these prophets throughout history, Abraham, Krishna, Moses, Zoroaster, Buddha, Christ, Muhammad, have all come bearing this one message, which is the religion of God. And so what Baha'u'llah, who Baha'u'llah is and what his message is a continuation of that message. You can kind of think of it as a single book, and each of the world religions are a different chapter of that same book. Another example that I used last year, I remember, is to look at it like a computer. So when you have, or your smartphone, when you have different updates for your phone or your computer, each update can involve fixing bugs in the software. It can be adding new software. It can be getting rid of old software. And essentially it is the same thing. It is either Windows or iOS. At the root of it, it is the same. And so that's a example, a way of explaining what the Baha'i faith is. And to talk about some of the key principles of the Baha'i faith, they are very similar to the principles of other religions. As I've said, Baha'u'llah has said that they are all from the same source. And so one of them is the unity of God, the oneness of God and the oneness of mankind. Another one is the equality of men and women, which is very important in today's society and is something that we have a long way to go on. Another one is the importance of independent investigation of truth. And so that's like a lot of big words. But what that means is in today's world, we are bombarded with a lot of information every day. And just going on to social media or news outlets, there can be a lot of information, brand new information, that we have no real way of knowing is true or false. We are depending entirely on the trustworthiness of that source. And so what Baha'u'llah has called us to do is to step beyond that and seek the truth for ourselves, and to not allow the views of other people that we may find attractive in some way, or the groups of other people, to change our perspective or our beliefs without any investigation into whether or not what they're saying is true. And so these are some principles of the Baha'i faith that I feel are really, and Baha'u'llah has really mentioned many times in the writings. And another part of the Baha'i faith is that there are these central figures of the Baha'i faith. The first one, or the current central figure that we always look to in the writings, is Baha'u'llah. And so Baha'u'llah, I actually want to read an excerpt from the writings about his life and what he had to go through during his time in Persia in the middle of the 1800s. Imprisoned in Tehran, which is a city in Persia, which is now Iran, was banished in 1852 from his native land to Baghdad, and thence to Constantinople and Adrianople, and finally to the prison city of Akka, where he remained incarcerated, which means imprisoned, for no less than 24 years, and in whose neighborhood he passed away in 1892. And it was during those years of exile and being moved from place to place throughout Persia, threatened constantly by the leaders of Persia at that time, he formulated the laws and the writings for the Baha'i faith, which amount to over 100 volumes of books. So there's a lot of literature and scripture in the Baha'i writings. And I believe only a third is translated into English. There's just a vast amount of writings. And so I don't know if anybody will ever be able to read everything in their lifetime. So there's just a plenitude of stuff to read. And so another central figure of the faith is Abdul-Baha, who is Baha'u'llah's son. And Abdul-Baha, he held a similar station to Baha'u'llah, but he was not a prophet. He was what we refer to as the perfect example. So he is the highest attainment that a human can reach in spiritual perfections. So when we want to look at how to be as a Baha'i, we look to Abdul-Baha. And so that's my overview of the Baha'i faith and our perspective on the commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope you guys learned something from this. Thank you.
Hello again, everybody. I hope you had a great hike today, and hopefully you learned something new or were enlightened by something that you experienced. Religious diversity allows everyone to find the path that is best for them to do their duty to God and embody the 12th point of the Scout Law. I'd like to thank all of our religious leaders that made their videos, took the time out of their busy schedule to make the videos that you watched today. I'd like to thank all of our units for making the introduction videos and our flag ceremonies. A big thanks to our 10 Commandment Hike Committee, Rosa Talag and David Simon, and our council technology support, Noah Devine. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you our Long Beach Area Council Sea Scouts, Ship 550 Mahalo, Ship 564 Conquest, and Ship 566 the Sea Wolves, with our closing flag ceremony. Thank you.
Attention.